We are talking about the Message Center announcements for August 11th. And as always, make sure that, especially if you're an administrator within your Microsoft 365 tenant, you're going out to these Message Center posts regularly, checking out which ones are relevant to you, and they should be since they're directed towards your particular tenant, those features. But then use this information. What we try to do is I try to go through as much of the big stuff, hit some high points as much as possible, and then kind of help you navigate what's going on across the board. And the topics of this time are going to be pretty wide variety of different features and services that are going to be hit. So let's get started. So the first one is we're going to start in the Copilot realm. And the big one that was announced actually probably mid last week was the fact that OpenAI's GPT-5 is now available within Microsoft 365 Copilot. And that's a big deal, especially because the fact is that the model actually changes a little bit as far as how it looks at your prompt. And it actually evaluates your prompt and selects the right model for the results to come back to you. So thinking about, hey, is it going to be more something that is high superficial type of a prompt versus something that may require something deeper across the board? So it's actually going to make that kind of evaluation. And then from there, bring back the necessary information for you. Now, this is something that you do have existing admin controls to be able to, in general, work with Copilot. There are no changes with this. This is just natural for the upgrade to Copilot to get it. It's available already. It got pushed out. I know that internally I was talking to some colleagues and some people had it. And then about maybe 2 hours later, other people who hadn't got it finally got it, those types of things. But you'll see, especially if you're in Edge and going in through 365 Copilot that way, you'll actually see the Try GPT-5 would be up in the upper right-hand corner. Before it was, I think they also called it Smart before that too, and that's changed now to Try GPT-5. So keep in mind in that'll actually flip that switch, and you'll see a little bit of a change in that text box as you go in there. So if you're allowing this to happen and have Copilot available, from a licensing or even unlicensed perspective, you'll start seeing that as well. So let your users know what's going on with that, especially in your web chat. All right, continuing on the Copilot side of things, there are some things happening within the Word app and with Copilot. Now, the big thing about that is, specifically with this is that, you've been able to see activity within these products before, but not to a high level. With Copilot inside Word, and this is coming out here, targeted already happened, but worldwide is later. I think I did not update those dates, so I'll make sure to get that in there. But basically what it's going to allow you to be able to do is you get a summary of what activities have been happening. We're talking about changes or even comments like that. And then Copilot's going to go through and give you a summary of those changes so you don't have to go through the entire document to be able to see those updates. There's also a filter button that's on the top of that Copilot area that gives us the things like last visit. Since I've been in this particular document, I want to see what's changed, or last 3 days or week or 2 weeks, right? So you can adjust those things in there and see specific. There's even an activities tab that tells you the exact things that happened, where people made changes, what comments that were added, if you actually want to see those individual things and not just the summary overall. All right. In the SharePoint side of things, as you become more and more versed into Copilot and talking about having Copilot agents available, now we're talking about the ability to have a web part that's going to add, that link to that agent, and then that agent's going to pop out on a sidecar experience, right? This is already starting to happen here mid-August to late August, coming out here for your SharePoint web part. That agent link web part is going to be coming out here and just give you that ability to embed that into that page easily so people can access those agents that you develop. All right, on the Exchange and Outlook side, we're talking about the ability, and I don't know about you, I get this a lot of times where I'll have a threaded conversation. I like the threaded way of looking at my emails. And I may want to jump to a certain part of it, or I may want to search inside that particular thread for something specific. And there might be 20, 30 emails in that particular thread. So starting here, it's actually rolling out currently and finishing out here late in August, we're going to be able to see the ability to search within that thread. Now, the caveat is, depending upon how you have your emails set up as far as sorted. So are you doing it by date? Are you doing it by sender? Are you doing it by category? That's what it's going to then allow you to be able to do it through that additional icon that's going to be added into your message section. So keep that in mind. Just make sure you update your users about that change. All right. Now let's go back to, now we're not in Copilot, but we're just in Microsoft Word and we're in SharePoint Online. So that Word document is in SharePoint Online. The ability to have an e-signature for Microsoft Word. So we've been able to do some of this e-signature stuff through PDFs, right? But we're not able to do things directly from Word and set that up for an e-signature as a PDF until this is coming out. It's actually been going. They pushed the date a little bit. It started in May, it's been pushed, and now it's saying late August when this is going to happen. And basically, it just adds on to that whole PDF, e-signature PDF capability where you don't have to create the PDF. You start in Word, you say, I want to do a signature, and it sends it out to whomever you set up for that particular e-signature as a PDF, but you don't have to create it first, right? You just do everything in Word. It sends it out. It does all that saving and then updating the status and all that stuff with that Word document so you know exactly where you're going. The nice thing is that that PDF does not leave your tenant, right? You still have that trust set up and it will deliver that PDF to the end user or to that person to sign and save that in the same location as your Word document. So it's a nice, easy process and flow without having to add that additional PDF capability or having to create a PDF. All right, there's going to be a change for those who use Clipchamp or Stream, formerly known as Stream. There's going to be a change in the main page when you actually go to Clipchamp. So this is going to be late August to late September. Just let people know that this is going to happen. And it's basically the hub page is going to give you all of this capability to be able to create and deliver and consume content from within Clipchamp. If you haven't gotten the news, Stream is now Clipchamp, and there's a slow migration of different components over to that. So keep that in mind. Also know there's going to be a banner up there, either if you're in Stream or in Clipchamp, that says this change. The URLs are not going to change. Nothing's going to change on that side. It's just going to be the look and feel within that Clipchamp area. So keep that in mind. All right, Teams. And this is Teams Voice or Teams Phone specifically. This is available now. And in fact, I just went into my tenant and I checked to see if this is the case. This is for auto attendance and call queues. If you're a newer organization that hasn't done much with this and you're looking at adding an auto attendant or a call queue, that auto attendant would be that thing as you come in to call a number that is hey, dial 1 for sales, dial 2 for support, that type of a calling tree that you can set up. And now, and that's part of it. The call queue is that, hey, I want to ring a group of people at one time, and the first person that answers then gets that call, right? That type of scenario. Well, if you're new to Teams Phone or Voice, then you may not know the specifics on how to be able to get that set up. So this wizard, it literally is a guided step-by-step wizard that will walk you through that. And he even has some built-in testing to be able to make sure everything is working with that phone number that you have set up. And if you have a little bit more experience, you can actually flip over to classic version, which is what we normally use to be able to build auto attendance and call queues. So with something like this, it's important that you let your administrator know that, hey, the next time they go into that, they may be seeing specifically this new window, and there's some screenshots there that kind of show that new window experience. And then on the bottom left-hand corner is where you'll see the classic. But the wizard is going to be standard from now on. All right, teams. Now I know color is so important for some people. They enjoy being able to colorize things. And I know that when the OneDrive and SharePoint folder color came out, people were pretty excited about that. I don't know. We'll see how this works out. But talking here early to late September, we're going to be able to, as users, change our team's experience with accent colors, right? So if you like specific colors, you'll be able to adjust that within the settings and general look and feel for teams, right? So if you like that hot pink that they have down in there, you can do that. If you like purple, you can have purple, right? So that's that experience. By the way, it is not going to impact performance. It's all cosmetic in nature. So, but this experience may, help people. They just like that ability to do that. Just notify your users what's going on with that side of things. All right. Now, continuing on the team side of things, and we're now venturing into the whole events and specific town hall side of things. So if you've ever used within Teams events, specifically with town hall, your organization is using something called Manage What Attendees See. This equates to some of the things that we did with live events for a very long time. And one of the sessions that Nick and I did back a while ago, we talked about that experience and this ability to be able to do kind of a producer side of things. Well, this next feature already started here late July, should be out now, actually allows you to preview before you go live. For example, if you take a look at the screenshot we have here, on the left-hand side, this is the preview side of things. That is giving you what you're going to have before you hit the send to live side of things. Very similar, like I said, to the live events format and how you could do from a producer perspective. Now, the way this can get enabled is as organizers are setting up this meeting, or this event, I should say, they'd be able to say for Manage What Attendees See either off, on, or on with preview, right? So that on just means that you don't get that preview ahead of time. You need to literally say on with preview, and then you can preview the information or the content that you wanted to present before you send it live, right? So its only capability is for town halls at this point. I haven't heard anything about webinars or even regular large events that you may have that enabled, but keep that in mind. For town halls, you do not need the Teams premium license to be able to use Manage What Attendees See. However, for webinar and large events, you do. So keep that in mind. But this is another opportunity for you to be able to have more of a producer style in getting us closer to those features that we saw in live event. All right, a bunch of quick mentions. So some purview eDiscover commandlets connectivity changes. So if you're doing anything from a purview side of things, and there's some specific commands that you use, you're going to need to make sure you have the updated PowerShell bits, basically. And then from there, you're going to also add enable search only session to be able to do certain commands that you have. And it's actually listed within that message center post, so make sure you check that out. Also, Clipchamp Stream, we got some new admin controls for video creation and distribution. That kind of shows you some of the things that you can then do with those controls and be able to prevent people from using, maybe you don't want them to do video camera recording or screen recording, right? Because you have some internal regulations that you have to follow to be able to do those types of things. Also, some updates into the Trust Center. So keep this one in mind. There are some new protocols that are being blocked or by default, and it's in public preview and coming out later on. So the ability to be able to block front page remote procedure calls, FTP and HTTP files as necessary. Additionally, there is going to be a change here that I want to make sure you guys see worldwide starting September 30th. So there's going to be a process where that Teams is actually going to do an evaluation of your Teams meeting URLs to see if they've been hijacked or changed or modified for any reason. This is going to be an important one because I want to make sure that you can check that Message Center post out, because if you have any security tools that rewrite these types of URLs, this is going to be a big issue, especially for those, because it's going to come back and say, hey, this is invalid, this is not going to work, just because your own security tools may have made some modifications to this. So please, if you have any of those security tools that's out there to be able to do that, make sure you're taking a look at that by September 30th and you're ready for that. And by the way, GCC, GCCH, and DoD, November 30th, about a month later, 2 months later, is going to be your date. If you are in Teams and you see that in a calendar app, you see that toggle, right? By the way, that toggle is going to go away and it's going to be just Outlook and Teams. So the new Outlook setup in Teams is going to be the primary. So check your dates, make sure you plan accordingly, make sure you have those things set up correctly. And they do have some workarounds in there as well as needed. So regional setting separation, this is an interesting one, and I haven't come across any scenarios, but I know there's some organizations that have been asking this. But being able to set regional settings that are different than your OS settings, right? So Teams, you want to be able to set maybe language or date or time format separately than what you have in the OS. Now you'll be able to then do them differently, right? Or you can just let it be the same, but that's going to be happening here worldwide mid to late August. And then on the quick mentions, finally coming to new Outlook is the ability to be able to save email templates in the new Outlook, right? This is one that I've missed a lot since I've moved over doing things, that I still have the old classic Outlook in there just in case I need to do anything with email templates. But users can create, save, and reuse, and including importing OFT files, which is important for some of your business processes that you have. Lastly, on my section, admin actions that I want to make sure are calling out. We talked about a couple of things like the speech coach is going away here during August. This is new. Make sure that you have iOS minimum system requirements for iOS 18. If somebody has something less than that, then they're not going to be able to get all the updates, and they're going to see degraded performance, especially with some of the 365 products, Outlook being one of those things, Teams being another one. There's also deprecation happening on the Word side of things, September 30th, where it's going to, you had the ability to be able to do transform into a web page in there. That's going to be removed. Feature hasn't been used much. If you are interested in still doing something like that, you can actually take a document and then inside Sway, say start from document, and then it creates the site from that document that way. Lens, which I loved the app when it came out a few years ago. Microsoft Lens app will be retired. And there are some of those features that are going to be available within the Microsoft 365 Copilot app that does very similar to what we had with the Lens. Outside of that, I think we talked about SharePoint alerts, and my favorite and your favorite info path still sitting out there, July 14th, 2026, end of support. And yes, Chris, yeah, we haven't heard anything yet on that. Michelle looks like responded to that. So hopefully we'll double check on that and see at the calendar or what they say about the dates on that. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a rumor. Cross fingers. Yeah. Stay on top of the roadmap. That's where you're going to find out all of the latest.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I'll hand it back over to you.
All right.